Hello everyone and welcome to my channel YNR Trends. In a storm of secrets, treason and explosive family conflict, Kyle Abbott's shocking trouble against his own father, Jack Abbott, sends shockwaves through Genoa City as a dangerous secret deal comes to light bone that could destroy the Abbott heritage forever. It all begins in the quiet, shadowed halls of the Abbott manse, where Jack senses something is terribly wrong with his son's recent gesture. Kyle is distant, cold and carrying the weight of a secret so dark it threatens to crush him. Unknown to Jack, Kyle has been working behind the scenes with Victor Newman's shadowy associates, cutting a perilous deal to ensure Matt's escape from authorities after Matt's involvement in a deadly, reproach-ridden crime. When Jack eventually confronts Kyle, demanding the verity, the atmosphere turns explosive. Kyle's eyes burn with despair as he reveals just enough to scare his father, intimating that important adversaries are watching, hearkening, and ready to destroy the Abbotts if Kyle doesn't keep his end of the bargain. Jack, stupefied and furious, pleads with his son to stop whatever illegal game he's playing, but Kyle snaps, delivering a nipping claim. If you intrude, you'll lose everything, your company, your character, and your family. The trouble leaves Jack shaken to his core. For the first time, he realizes his own son is capable of crossing lines Jack would never. Meanwhile, the verity about Matt's escape begins to unravel. With help from falsified documents, bought officers, and a mysterious coastal account, Matt vanishes from Genoa City just hours before his arrest. Kyle orchestrated the entire operation, believing he was guarding innocent lives, but in reality, he may have unleashed an indeed lesser wrong. As rumors swirl, Diane Jenkins starts connecting the blotches, seeing Kyle's secret involvement. Her attempts to advise Jack only make effects worse, pushing Kyle into a corner where he becomes more dangerous and changeable. The pressure reaches a breaking point when Jack intimately meets with the authorities, determined to bring Matt to justice no matter the cost. But Kyle finds out, and that's when the real trouble comes. In a private, heart-stopping battle, Kyle reveals he has substantiation that could destroy Jack's once business dealings, substantiation tied to a long-buried Abbott reproach. His voice shakes with fury as he warns, "You cover me or I expose you." Jack is torn between his moral compass and his love for his son, knowing that one wrong move could collapse everything he's erected. As Genoa City buzzes with whispers, Victor Newman lurks in the background, conceivably manipulating the entire situation for his own gain. Was Kyle truly acting alone? Or is he just another pawn in Victor's dangerous chess game? Meanwhile, Matt, now on the run, sends a cryptic communication thanking Kyle for saving his life. A communication that could become the key to Kyle's downfall if exposed. Summer Newman, suspicious of Kyle's secretiveness, starts digging, uncovering traces of the secret deal that link Kyle to Matt's exposure. Her discovery threatens to blow the lid off the entire operation. The emotional risk on Jack is ruinous, watching his son transfigure into someone he slightly recognizes, driven by fear, fidelity, and despair. Each passing day pushes Kyle further into the murk, forcing him to make darker choices to cover the secret. But secrets in no way stay buried in Genoa City. As pressure mounts from the police, the Newmans, and indeed members of the Abbott family, Kyle's precisely constructed web begins to unravel. In a stunning twist, Jack must decide whether to immolate his own character to save his son, or eventually expose Kyle's crimes to stop the chaos. The trouble Kyle made wasn't just against Jack's power. It was against the heart of the Abbott family itself. And as the verity about the secret deal and Matt's escape elevation closer to the face, one thing becomes terrifyingly clear. When family fidelity turns into blackmail, no bone in Genoa City is safe. The night after Kyle's nipping trouble to Jack, Genoa City feels different, heavier, darker, as if the air itself knows a storm is coming. Jack Abbott stands alone in his study, gaping at old family prints, his hands pulsing as he realizes the heritage he spent his entire life structuring is now being held hostage by his own son. Kyle, once the boy Jack tutored on right from wrong, has become a man willing to destroy everything for a secret deal that should in no way have been. Across the city, Kyle sits in silence, his phone glowing with a single unlettered communication from Matt. "I'm safe. You did what you promised." The words offer no comfort, only dread. Kyle knows saving Matt's escape wasn't just illegal, it was disastrous. Every taradiddle, every fix, every falsified record has tensed the mesh around his neck. But he believes he'd have no choice. Matt had hovered to expose a buried reproach involving Kyle's once business dealings, substantiation that could destroy Jabot, ruin Jack, and tear the Abbott family piecemeal. So Kyle made the deal. He paid the price. And now there's no turning back. Meanwhile, Diane Jenkins grows further suspicious by the hour. She notices Kyle's erratic jest, his late-night discoveries, his unforeseen access to massive finances that don't match any given account. When she presses him for answers, Kyle switches out, advising her to stay out of his affairs. Diane sees fear behind his wrathfulness, and sweat always means secrets. Determined to cover Jack, she begins her own disquisition, still uncovering links between Kyle, Matt, and a mysterious shell pot used to grease Matt's escape. As Diane digs deeper, Victor Newman watches from the murk, intrigued. He senses occasion in the Abbott family's turmoil. However, Victor could strike a ruinous blow against Jabot if Kyle's secret explodes. But rather of exposing Kyle incontinently, Victor chooses to manipulate him. A discreet meeting is arranged in a private office overlooking the megacity skyline. Victor calmly informs Kyle that he knows about the escape plan, the backhanders, and the retired accounts. Kyle's blood runs cold. Victor offers protection, but at a cost. "You work for me now," Victor says, "and in return your secret stays buried." Trapped between captivity and treason, Kyle agrees, intentionally stepping into a far more dangerous game. Back at the Abbott manse, Jack's guilt becomes unsupportable. He knows commodity is deeply wrong, and his silence is eating him alive. When he eventually confides in Tracy, she urges him to tell the verity to the authorities. But Jack hesitates, because the moment he does, Kyle's life will be destroyed. As father and son drift further piecemeal, Summer begins to connect the blotches. She tracks unusual fiscal exertion linked to Kyle's accounts and discovers a burner phone used to coordinate Matt's escape. Her heartache turns into fury. Defying Kyle, she demands the verity. At first he denies everything, but when she threatens to go to the police, Kyle breaks down. He confesses that Matt was about to expose a ruinous secret involving Jabot's once illegal accessions, and Kyle believes saving Matt was the only way to cover the Abbott name. Summer is affrighted. "You didn't cover the family," she tells him. "You doomed it." The emotional fallout is brutal. Kyle realizes he has come the veritably thing Jack advised him no way to be, a man who sacrifices integrity for power. Meanwhile, Matt, hiding under a new identity in a remote position, begins to grow reckless. He starts reaching people from his old life, induced he's untouchable. One communication is interdicted by authorities, raising reservations about how he managed to escape so fairly. The disquisition still reopens, inching near to Kyle. As pressure mounts, Victor tightens his grip, forcing Kyle to blunder Abbott trade secrets to Newman Enterprises. Each treason cuts deeper than the last. Jack notices Jabot losing ground and senses Newman's unnoticeable hand at work. When he confronts Victor, Victor simply smiles. "Your son formerly chose his side," he says. The words hit Jack like a pellet. Realizing Kyle has been manipulated into commercial disloyalty, Jack rushes home, hopeless for answers. Their battle is raw, emotional, and ruinous. Kyle admits everything: the deal, the escape, the pitfalls, Victor's control. Jack is shattered. But rather of wrathfulness, he feels inviting anguish. "You didn't have to do this," Jack whispers. "You could have trusted me." Kyle collapses into gashes, confessing that fear drove him, not rapacity. Just as Jack promises to help him face the consequences, enchantresses echo outside the manse. The authorities have arrived. Diane's disquisition, Summer's substantiation, and Matt's careless communication have eventually gathered. Kyle is arrested for inhibition of justice and conspiracy. As he's led down and bind, Jack watches helplessly, knowing the Abbott heritage will no way be the same. But the story isn't over. Victor smirks, formerly planning his coming move. Matt remains at large and secrets still lurk in the murk. One chapter has closed, but Genoa City's darkest storm is only beginning. Genoa City is still reeling from Kyle's arrest when fate delivers a far crueler blow. One that will shatter the Abbott family beyond repair. Jack barely sleeps, haunted by the image of his son in handcuffs, his once proud legacy crumbling under the weight of betrayal and regret. Every corner of the Abbott mansion feels colder, emptier, As if the walls themselves mourn what has been lost, Diane tries to hold the family together, but even she can sense something ominous looming in the air. Meanwhile, Kyle sits alone in his jail cell, staring at the concrete walls, replaying every choice that led him there. The secret deal, Matt's escape, Victor's manipulation, and the chilling threat he made against his own father. The guilt crushes him. Across town, Summer is drowning in remorse, questioning whether exposing Kyle was the right thing to do. Justice may have been served, but love has been destroyed. What no one knows is that tragedy is already in motion. Late one stormy night, Jack receives an anonymous call. The voice on the other end is distorted, urgent, and filled with menace. If you want the full truth about Matt, come alone. Despite Diane's desperate pleas, Jack goes. He believes this could finally bring closure, maybe even help Kyle's case. The location is an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Genoa City, its broken windows rattling in the wind, rain pounding against the rusted roof like a warning. Inside, flickering lights cast eerie shadows across crumbling walls. Jack steps forward cautiously, his heart pounding. Then a figure emerges from the darkness. It's Matt. Alive. Free. Smiling. You kept your promise, Jack, Matt sneers. Your son saved me. Jack's blood runs cold. Kyle didn't do this for you. He did it because you threatened our family. Matt laughs, pulling out a flash drive. And now I have everything I need to destroy the Abbotts forever. Before Jack can respond, footsteps echo behind him. A second figure appears, masked, armed, and shaking with rage. The situation spirals out of control. A struggle breaks out. The gun discharges. The sound of the shot echoes through the warehouse like thunder. Jack stumbles back, his eyes wide with shock. Blood stains his shirt. Jack! A familiar voice cries out. Diane bursts through the door, having followed him despite his warnings. She drops to her knees, cradling him as rain pours through the broken ceiling. Stay with me, she sobs. Please, Jack, don't leave me. Jack's breathing becomes shallow. His eyes soften as he looks at her. Tell Kyle. I never stopped loving him. His hand slips from hers. Jack Abbott is gone. Silence fills the warehouse, heavy, final, irreversible. Matt flees into the night, the masked shooter disappears, and Diane is left screaming in the rain, holding the man who built the Abbott legacy in her arms. News of Jack's death explodes across Genoa City. Kyle collapses in his cell when he hears the truth. The walls close in as the weight of his actions crushes him. His threats, his secrets, his deal. Everything led to this moment. My father is dead because of me, he whispers, his voice breaking. Summer weeps alone, realizing that exposing Kyle didn't just destroy a man. It destroyed a family. Tracy is inconsolable. The Abbott mansion becomes a house of mourning, filled with grief, anger, and unanswered questions. But the tragedy doesn't end there. At Jack's funeral, tensions erupt. Kyle is allowed to attend in cuffs, guarded by officers. As he stands over his father's coffin, tears streaming down his face, Victor Newman watches from a distance, his expression unreadable. Diane steps forward and delivers a heartbreaking truth. Jack was trying to protect you, Kyle. Even at the end. Kyle breaks down, screaming in agony, collapsing to the ground. Meanwhile, the investigation into Jack's murder reveals a horrifying twist. The gun was registered to someone connected to Matt's escape. Someone Kyle unknowingly paid. His attempt to protect the Abbott name indirectly financed the weapon that killed his own father. The irony is unbearable. As Genoa City mourns, darkness spreads. Matt remains at large. Victor tightens his grip on Jabot. Kyle faces life in prison, not just for his crimes, but for the guilt of knowing his choices led to his father's death. The Abbott legacy didn't fall in a boardroom. It fell in blood, rain, and regret. And in Genoa City, nothing is ever the same again.